You have set a hypothetical coaching goal with Jenny, and partly, kind of the article intimated what she kind of felt like that should be. The next part of the process is to decide whether you, as a coach, would model teach, co-teach, or observe Jenny the next time that you guys meet together, or the next time that you go into her classroom as the coach. And there's no, at least that I can find, I'm sure it exists, but there's no concrete kind of research on when, as a coach, you should do which thing. I mean, my brain tends to work on flowcharts and matrices, so I kind of want to know, if this happens, then I should co-teach. If this happens, then I should model teach. My brain can kind of be inflexible sometimes, and I need, I like processes, as you could tell. So it doesn't exist. You kind of have to decide on your own. You make that decision. It's more personal and interpersonal, again, than anything. But what I would like to share with you are some potential tools and resources that you might use, or that the teacher might use, to collect data. So depending on who's doing the teaching, somebody needs to collect data. If you're co-teaching, again, I suggested that you videotape. You also might consider bringing in someone else, a teacher that's on conference, an administrator if you're comfortable with that, another instructional coach if there is such a person that exists. You might even consider bringing someone from completely outside that content area. I feel like sometimes people from a different content area have a different perspective, and again, we're STEM, so who knows what the content area is you'll be focusing on, but a different content area person might be able to bring in a perspective that may not have existed between you and the teacher, or you and the group of teachers that you're working with. So, moving on to tools. If you're coaching classroom management, and if you're not, I still find this book, and I'm going to try to hold it for camera. It's called Coaching Classroom Management. This is a Sprick book. They're the same folks that did Champs. Jim Knight, I think, wrote this book too. This is full of observational tools. I'll show you this one. So academic engagement, monitoring, form. This just has lots of potential tools for you to use, whether or not you're coaching classroom management. But if you find yourself in a position of coaching classroom management, and I found that to be, especially with new teachers, it's the root of a lot of classroom difficulties. This book is amazing, and I would highly recommend buying it, or suggesting that someone buy it for you. There's another one that I've recently come across, Informal Classroom Observation. So this book just has, this is actually called The Instructional Leader's Guide to Informal Classroom Observations by Sally Zepeda. These are probably backwards, aren't they? But this book in the back has a lot of templates. Some of these are a little bit more elementary focused, but again, lots of templates for you to use to collect your data based on whatever your coaching goal is. And then a third option that you might want to use that is not specific to the goal necessarily, but is a little bit more involved, is scripting. And so this is just an example of the way that I used to script lessons. When it called for scripting, this is not something you would want to do all the time, but basically when you script, you write down the time in one column, and everything that is done and said in this column, so that you have kind of a verbatim record of how the lesson went. I would say go to that kind of last case, because you're going to have a coaching goal that'll be focused on a specific thing, so you may not need to script. But those are a few tools that I have either used or come across and found helpful in my practice, and I'm going to ask that in this journal entry that you find a tool of your own, share one that you use, or create one that you think might be helpful in an observation.